Hello, it's 6:30 and welcome to Talk Living on the Body and Balance channel, the UK's first daily health, fitness and wellbeing chat show. I'm Larry Turner.
And I'm Stephen Hattisides. That's right, we'll be here every day at 1:30 and 6:30, Monday to Friday, live on the Body and Balance channel.
Now, with Christmas advertising campaigns already bombarding us with TV offers of cheap alcohol, party platters and chocolates galore, we decided to wade into the great weight debate with a whole week of programming dedicated to our relationship with food, fitness and family.
Well, in a moment we'll be talking to Dr. Nicole Gehl about the highly contentious and misunderstood area of eating disorders, what causes them, and how can you spot the telltale signs.
We're live from London right now, so please text us with your thoughts and we'll try to get your questions and comments later on in the programme. The number to text is 87474, so just type LTL, then put a space and then write your message. Be aware the text costs 50p plus your normal operator text charge. Not all texts will be answered, but you will still be charged. You must have the bill pay of permission before texting. Full terms and conditions on our website.
Now, our website is all the W's, www.bodyandbalance.tv, where you'll find a whole host of information. Now, it goes without saying that we are a nation obsessed with the way we look.
You speak for yourself, mate.
Well, from the catwalks of the London Fashion Week to the dogfight of The Only Way is Essex, more of our time is spent wondering if we fit in physically. But how about you, Larry? Do you feel under more and more pressure to look a certain way?
Obviously, my days as a catwalk model are over. I've accepted that. No, I mean, you know, I think
You've got the 40s theme going on now. There must be pressure there.
If you work in television, obviously, it's important how you look. And certainly when I first went into television, and my background is as a journalist, and everybody else seemed to be models, and they were all very tall and very slim and very gorgeous. And I was not tall and I wasn't slim either, so that was really hard. Yeah. But I think there's a, I mean, I look at The Only Way is Essex, for example, and I love that show. And it is full of these girls who are incredibly groomed and full of men not wearing their shirts most of the time.
Cool. But don't forget, they are been cosmetically enhanced as well.
Have they?
It's a little bit unrealistic. Well,
some of them have.
So they
say.
The
men haven't, have they?
No, not the men. Not the men. I think they just love the gym.
They must spend their lives there. So I think there's pressure on all of us, isn't there? And I think the problem happens, though, if that desire to look a certain way somehow tips into eating disorders. And that's the subject of today's show. If you have somebody in your family that you are concerned might be suffering from an eating disorder, stay with us because we're going to be talking about how to spot the signs and also the different treatments available, because the good news is actually you can recover from an eating disorder. It's certainly not...
But we want to hear your stories, any questions that you've got, you know, just text in to 87474 and you just need to type LTL followed by a space, then your message. So hopefully we'll be reading out those comments later on the show.
Yeah, so we're joined today by Dr. Nicole Gehl, who's a psychotherapist, but give us your whole title.
I'm an existential psychotherapist.
Wow. Which sounds very impressive, doesn't it? You work, among other people with eating disorders.
Indeed, yes.
How common is it?
It's surprisingly common, actually. I think right now the statistics are about 1 in 250 women will suffer from anorexia.
Gee, that's really high. We don't. I mean, the fact that we don't see, or I don't see 1 in 250 women walking about with anorexia. Is that proof that it's a hidden problem largely?
Most definitely. Eating disorders are something very private, very personal, very secretive. And sufferers from it will generally guard that secret as something quite precious to them.
Now, you said also that 1 in 2,000 men actually suffer from anorexia as well.
That's a surprise.
Which it is a surprise, because you don't really associate anorexia with men, but I'm sure we're going to look at that a little bit later on as well. But in terms of bulimia, I mean, how popular is that?
Bulimia, for men, it's actually 1 in 400. And women 1 in 50.
See, that is incredibly high. That's obviously more easy to hide than anorexia is, because you don't usually look quite so thin. I mean, but still, if we're talking about eating disorders, anorexia people have heard of, bulimia people have heard of. There's something called disordered eating, isn't there, which isn't quite either of those. How would you define that?
Eating disorder is not otherwise specified.
Yes, which is a nice snappy title.
Yeah. And I think it's a spectrum, really, of people who have just a dysfunctional relationship with food, an unhealthy preoccupation with dieting, with compulsive exercise, and it can take many different forms, many different shapes, many different appearances.
And if you were somebody who was worried about something in your family, how would you spot it?
I think there are a lot of things to watch out for, really, when it comes to someone with a disordered relationship with food, unhealthy preoccupation with dieting, fixation with calories.
So they're going on a diet every single week, keeping a diary where they're writing down the number of calories. Like Bridget Jones used to do that, didn't she? Always wrote down her calories.
It's quite difficult because in our society, it's such, as you were saying earlier, it's a dieting society. It's a society very focused on our weight. So it's sort of a question mark as to when do we start to investigate, is there an eating disorder present?
Well, we're going to talk again in a moment about the changing face of eating disorders, because it's not just teenage girls.
No, and obviously we want to, hear your questions while we've got Dr. Gehl here. I mean, it's a perfect opportunity. So make sure you text in to 87474. So, just type LTL followed by a space, then your message. We'll see you very shortly.